Hello guys, it's Robbie here, and welcome in this new backtesting video where I'm going to backtest 1st of June London session EURUSD. And instead of a backtesting webinar, I'm gonna send you and upload this video for you. I couldn't really manage to host a webinar for you this evening, so that's the reason behind that. Why I'm recording a backtesting video for you right now. So let's start the whole backtesting, but first we have to check the news. And as you can see, here are the news for the session. We have one high impact news 1 hour before session close for Euro. There is a CPI flash estimate. We have to be careful at that time during the session, but technically the session is safe to trade. So yeah, there is only one high impact news, so we can safely trade in the previous 2 hours. So let's start everything on the daily time frame because it's important to put the price action into a higher perspective and what can we expect on the higher time frame. So we are here on the daily time frame. What happened on the daily time frame? I don't know why is it laggy. It's laggy for me, but I try to do my best. So what has happened? Technically, since that point, this mid reversal to the upside, price action is really bullish, as you can see. Change character from this low point, daily change character here, weekly change character here, and ever since from that point, price action is insanely bullish. There was a break of structure to the upside, which also price flip the real value of a supply area from this region with this movement to the upside, left behind an extreme zone, extreme daily zone, which has been mitigated with a small percent mitigation. But there was a 4-hour area, I believe, which zones 50% perfectly lined up with the top edge of this daily zone, daily wick area. And after this mitigation, price has made a new swing breakout structure to the upside here, as you can see. This breakout structure technically happened from this region, this demand area. This demand area caused the breakout structure directly, and everything below that demand was technically liquidity right here. But this liquidity has been built up for this demand area right here, which was the origin of this structure breaking movement to the upside. And technically, this is our swing low point on the daily time frame. So this is our extreme zone in this case, which has initiated the structure breaking movement on this high point. And we can really expect the continuation to the upside from this daily demand area. Or if it flips, so if price can manage to flip it, then we can really expect the sweep of this liquidity, mitigation of this weak demand area, for example, or maybe lower weekly areas in this case. But currently, price is reacting well, really nicely on this daily demand area. Let me mark it out properly. So this is the demand, which has also caused nice inefficiency, and technically above everything was liquidity. So this is just a huge liquidity pool built up for this demand area. And all of this liquidity has been swept into this demand. And after this demand mitigation, we can really expect the continuation to the upside, expecting a breakout structure here. And also we have double tops right here, which probably will be swept in the future. But it needs time to sweep this liquidity here. So probably, yeah, but the sweep of this liquidity will probably happen. So after the sweep of this liquidity, after the mitigation of this daily demand area, we can wait for 15-minute confirmations because probably there is a clear 4-hour refinement inside of it. And if a 15-minute change of character happens, we can really wait for long opportunities, and we can really wait and look for long opportunities. So there was a swing breakout structure. This region has broken. Liquidity has been swept into the extreme daily demand has been mitigated, but we will use the 4-hour zone in this case because we are using the daily time frame mainly for the real higher time frame perspectives, and we are using the 4-hour for trading technically. So here is the clear 4-hour refinement inside of it. As you can see, this is the 4-hour refinement. So I'm gonna refine this zone into this 4-hour zone. Perfect. And you can see that a full zone mitigation on this zone happened. But if you take a look at this region, there was insane amount of liquidity built up above this zone. Also, this whole movement right here was built up for this daily demand area, and this huge liquidity pool has been swept into this 4-hour daily demand area, and price has just reacted on it really nicely. I printed two candle right here because this is the first candle before London Open. So you can see that price reacting on it really well. At this region, if we take a look at this region, technically this is just pure liquidity for the longs. So you can see that price action has really slowed down. This is the last recent supply area that has caused some inefficiency, but this supply probably will be broken because if you take a look just above it, there is everything liquidity. Price action has really slowed down. The price action is 100% efficient at this region. So we can really expect the break of this zone, but this 4-hour zone can be a good target for our longs if we can catch a long at this region in today's session. So we will see. Also, this 4-hour demand, which is the refinement, once again is the extreme of this whole movement that has caused the daily swing breakout structure. Everything below this zone is efficient. So if somehow the flip of this zone happens, then we can expect further shorts, expecting the sweep of this liquidity into some deeper demand area. But I have already told that and said that in this video earlier. So yeah, actually we can mark this supply. Oh, this is the last recent supply, which can be used as a perfect target level. But if we take a look here, technically this is just a huge liquidity pool on the upside, which has been built up for the longs. And yeah, also there was another demand where we were expecting longs, which was right here, because there was a 4-hour demand mitigation. This demand mitigation couldn't really manage to make breakout structure to the upside at this point, but price returned back, made a reversal, swept some liquidity from this region, mitigated a 4-hour demand, which couldn't really manage to do anything, but there was inefficiency above it. This is the inefficient gap, and there was liquidity above it. This liquidity and the inefficiency has been filled up. Price mitigated, made a new breakout structure to the upside. So technically, this was a real valuable 4-hour demand area where we were expecting the continuation to the upside, but as you can see, price has just flipped it. The reaction wasn't strong enough to make a continuation to the upside, as you can see. Also, it was a small percent mitigation, so we were expecting a deeper mitigation, but after the deeper mitigation, technically price has just flipped it, which has happened perfectly from this area. And this area hold the price, and after this flip area mitigation, flips the 4-hour supply zone mitigation, price action just swept all of this liquidity into this 4-hour area where we can really expect the bigger reversal to the upside and expect the sweep of this liquidity right here. So we will see what happens. We can take a look on the 15-minute time frame, and technically we have to create 15-minute scenarios mainly because we have just mitigated 4-hour demand area. So if a 15-minute change of character happened, probably it happened, but we will see. So if a 15-minute change of character happened, we can wait for longs. But if price confirms the last recent supply area, then we can expect further shorts down, and we can expect the break of this demand area. But we will see. Probably the 15-minute change of character has already happened. So let's take a look on the 15-minute time frame, but let me play price forward a bit. Right, and here we are on the 15-minute time frame. Perfect. So there was a full zone mitigation. As you can see, there was a really small percent mitigation at first. Price reacted on it, made change of character on several places, but we know that we needed a deeper mitigation. There was a buy trap creation right here, which was the origin of this structure character changing movement after the small percent mitigation, but we were expecting a deeper mitigation after the small percent mitigation, because we can always expect a 50% mitigation, a deeper mitigation on the zone if there was no 50% mitigation on a higher time frame zone. And as you can see, small percent mitigation happened, price reacting it really nicely, changed character on several places, but after that the sweep of this demand area has happened, mitigated a deeper demand area, but it wasn't a 50% mitigation. So this mitigation right here was probably a 40% mitigation. Let's take a look on it. Actually, this is the 50% line here, and this darker line is 45%. So price didn't mitigate the 50% at this point, and after that it wasn't that strong reaction that we were looking for. So you can see that technically a change of character happened here, but this was just a liquidity building movement. And as you can see, after the sweep of this liquidity right here, price has just returned back, created double bottoms, and this double bottoms has been swept into a full region of this 4-hour demand area. And after this 4-hour full zone mitigation, 15-minute has changed character on several places and currently reacts on this supply area. But technically the 15-minute change of character has happened already from this point, because there was the last recent breakout structure on the 15-minute time frame, and even a strong change of character happened, which was in this case a flip scenario. There was a 15-minute supply area. All right. And as you can see, 15-minute candle closed inside of it. This is the reactional candle, and after this reaction, price just flipped it. So probably we will find the 5-minute area here, but we have a clear extreme which has caused really nice volume inefficiency. So we will see what happens. There is the extreme, the origin of the whole movement, origin of the whole character changing movement. So we can mark it out. Even though price has mitigated this 15-minute supply area, this reaction on this supply is not that strong. So you can see that this is just a literally perfect liquidity creation. And if it mark this high point here too, then we can see that technically this supply is part of the liquidity. It has been part of the liquid. It became part of the liquidity because after this 50% mitigation, price barely moved to the downside, created more liquidity for the shorts, and there was a really nice amount of liquidity creation on the downside too. It will be much clearer on the 5-minute time frame, I believe. And currently, price is reacting on this structure breaking demand area right here. Perfect. We can mark it out. And you can see that 50% mitigation happened. Perfect. So if a confirmation has probably happened right here on the 1-minute time frame, so we can expect the continuation to the upside. And there is a 15-minute supply area that has caused the breakout structure here and has really nice inefficiency. This supply area has a chance to reverse the price to the downside, probably mitigate a flip zone right here. We will probably see a 5-minute flip zone here, but we can build up possible plans for this supply area. Let me mark it out. But this supply is perfectly part of the liquidity, so it has a really great chance to be broken. All right. So this supply has a chance to hold the price and reverse back to some deeper demand area, for example, this one or this extreme area. And if a reversal happens here, then I would rather wait for a fail of this demand area. Probably there is a demand. Let me see that, because I don't know. But actually, yes, there is a really clear 1-minute, 5-minute demand area, as you can see. Perfect. All right. This 5-minute demand caused the flip of this supply area right here, but also we can refine this supply into this 5-minute supply area, and you can see that the flip of this supply, and technically this is also a 15-minute strong change of character line, has happened from this 5-minute flip zone. So yeah, let me adjust these zones, adjust these candles perfectly. All right, so what can we expect in this session? Well, we can expect a reversal from this supply area, but I wouldn't really look for sells at this point. We have a chance to see a reversal here, sweep of this liquidity, because price action technically built up liquidity here for this 5-minute demand area. If a sweep of this liquidity happens and price can confirm this zone on the 1-minute time frame, we can enter on a long, and we can expect the sweep of this liquidity, and we can really expect the mitigation of this 4-hour supply area. This is the first plan, so I wouldn't really look for sells here. However, if price can manage to mitigate this supply and flips it, then we can be 100% sure about that. A long continuation will happen. We will sweep all of this liquidity and we will mitigate this 4-hour supply area. This is the second plan, or the third plan actually is the flip of this 5-minute demand area. So if the supply can reverse the price, mitigates this demand area, but this demand cannot be confirmed, and price just flips it. So there is a reaction, but flips it. Then we have a chance to see a reversal and a pretty short sell scenario down to this extreme area, because there is huge inefficiency which has to be filled up sooner or later. But this demand still has a chance to hold the price. So if this 5-minute demand gets flipped, then we can take shorts down to this extreme demand area, because there is really nice inefficiency which probably will be filled up if this 5-minute demand won't be able to hold the price. So technically these are the plans for the session, and we will look for these scenarios to play out. And yeah, let's see what happens. And I believe the 5-minute time frame will be the same as the 15-minute. Technically, yes, there is some liquidity creation below the supply, so this supply has a chance to hold the price and reverse back to this 5-minute demand. But I wouldn't really look for sells from this supply area, but we will see. There is liquidity above the supply, we can mark it out. Technically, this is liquidity right here. We can mark this liquidity pool like this. First touch, second touch, technically third and fourth touch. So price action has really slowed down at this point, as you can see. So yeah, we can mark this liquidity pool out like this, or this maybe. So yeah, but let's see what happens. And if this 5-minute zone can give us a confirmation, we can be pretty confident about the longs, and we can be pretty confident about the sweep of this liquidity from the upside. So let's see what happens, and we can play price forward. Keep that in mind that we have high impact news at 11 a.m. Right, there is news. I just put a horizontal line here, and let's see what happens, and let's see what will happen in this case, in this session. So I'm waiting for only these scenarios. So reversal here, confirmation entry here, or a simple flip of this supply and expecting longs, expecting the sweep of this liquidity, or the flip of this demand. If it happens, then we have a great chance to see a mitigation of this demand, the extreme demand right here. Also, there is one more thing. On the 5-minute time frame, actually no, there is no zone, but this can function as liquidity for the 5-minute demand. So we will see what happens in this case, in this session. So let's see. Perfect. Let's play price forward, and let's find out what happens in this session. Mitigation of the 15-minute supply did not happen, but a reversal has started. So probably this liquidity sweep from this region was enough for the price to create a reversal to the downside, because as you can see, there was liquidity. This liquidity has been swept out, and probably there was a 5-minute supply. I did not check. There is a 5-minute supply, but it hasn't been mitigated. But a reversal has started, and you can see that technically the sweep of this liquidity happens, and the mitigation of the 5-minute demand has almost happened, which actually happened right now. Perfect. We have 50% mitigation. All right. And there was the liquidity pool, which has been swept out. As you can see, there is the liquidity. It has been swept into the 5-minute area. Perfect. So we are on the 1-minute time frame, and we have 50% mitigation. If price can manage to break above this supply area that has caused the last recent break of structure here, so technically this is our last high point. So if a change of character happens on this high point, we can enter on a long trade, and we can expect the sweep of this huge liquidity pool. And actually price with this high point created a new touch for this trendline liquidity on the upside. So this is the first plan. Or if a flip happens on this 5-minute demand area, so if a flip happens, then we can execute shorts down to the extreme 15-minute demand area, which was the origin of the whole 15-minute character changing movement after the full zone mitigation on the 4-hour demand. So let's see what happens. And yeah, we have a new break of structure to the downside. So there was a new break of structure which actually happened from this high point. As you can see, the body break happened on this low point. So we have a new high point in this case. But a full zone mitigation happened too, and technically price has wick below this zone, wick below this 5-minute area, and it kind of built up some liquidity here, but I wouldn't call it as a liquidity, as a proper double bottom liquidity. But let's see the 5-minute time frame first. Well, actually, it can be used as liquidity. So there is a chance to see a liquidity creation here for future shorts, but actually it wouldn't be necessary for the price to sweep this liquidity right here, because price has already swept really nice amount of liquidity from this region, So price has already swept really nice amount of liquidity out, and there is more liquidity on the upside. So we have a really great chance to see the sweep of this liquidity first, but we will see. On the 1-minute time frame, we have a new break of structure to the downside. So if a change of character happens here, then we might be able to enter on a long trade, but maybe it would be better to see the fail of this supply area, because there was the previous break of structure to the downside, perfect, and there was another break of structure on this low point. As you can see, there was a body break below the last recent low point. All right. I would rather see the fail of this high in this case, because this movement, I would rather see the fail of this supply. For me, to mark change of characters, I would rather wait fail of these supply areas, and there is no supply area. Price has made a new break of structure, but there is no supply at this point. As you can see, this is just a whole efficient candles. So I would rather see the fail of this high point in this case in order to call it as a change of character. But you can see that we have a really nice reaction actually after the full zone mitigation. But I would rather see liquidity creation for this entry POI, because technically it has caused change of character. There was the last recent break of structure, but I would rather see the fail of this high point, and I would rather see the fail of this supply area in this case. but this zone has a chance to hold the price. So if liquidity creation happens for this demand, then I would enter on this zone because price has already set really nice amount of liquidity into the higher time frame zone, and it's a really nice reaction actually on the higher time frame zone. So we can count the criteria for this zone right here. Technically, higher time frame zone mitigation happened. Liquidity take for the higher time frame zone was there, which has been swept out, and there is inefficiency right here, and we are in a pro trend. So 4-hour zone mitigation happened. 15-minute has changed character strongly, and there is the 5-minute demand area which has been just mitigated, that has caused the 15-minute strong change of character, and the 1-minute confirmation is actually happening right now. So it's a really nice fractally confirmed setup forming right now. So it wouldn't be necessary for the price in this case to create liquidity right here, but I would rather still wait for a fail of this supply area in this case, because it has a chance to hold the price, flip this zone, mitigate the extreme demand area that has caused even greater inefficiency. But this is a pretty valid higher time frame area. So yeah, with liquidity creation, I will definitely enter on this zone. But if a strong change of character in this case happens on this high point, because the change of character has already happened technically, I would rather see this fail of this high point and enter on the next demand. But if liquidity creation will be there for this 1-minute entry POI, then I will enter on this zone too. So we have all the 4 base criteria. Sorry, change of character technically happened, so we can call it as a change of character, and there is a really nice V-shaped recovery, 50% mitigation, and there is insane amount of liquidity target on the upside. Technically, the whole upside is just liquidity target for the upcoming longs. Price is not coming from an opposite sided zone, I believe, but let me take a look on the 5-minute time frame. Actually, there is no opposite sided zone mitigation. This is the only one. This is the only 5-minute area that has caused the flip of this 15-minute area, and everything below that is efficient. So there is no opposite sided zone mitigation. And we can call it as a corrective pullback strong pro movements. If you take a look on the 15-minute time frame, then you can see that after the 15-minute change of characters, bullish movements has become stronger, and after this supply zone mitigation, this is just a corrective pullback to the downside, and we can really expect the continuation to the upside sweep of this liquidity. So corrective pullback, strong pro movements here. Technically, it's a 10 criteria entry opportunity. So we can go for it. And actually, that's what I will do, because that's my main problem in the previous months, previous weeks. I'm playing too safe, and I'm most of the times waiting liquidity creation for the entry POI when it's not really necessary, even though price has swept really nice amount of liquidity into the higher time frame zone. And that's my thing to explain it to myself why this setup won't work out. And actually, we have 10 criteria for this setup, and 10 and 11 criteria setups we should technically force in this case. So let's see. Actually, I will go for it, and let's test it out what happens. And maybe if a change of character happens on this high point too, then with liquidity creation for the newly formed zone, we can go for that one too, but we will see. So I won't wait for liquidity creation in this case. Let's just see what happens on this 1-minute entry POI that has caused the fail of this high point, that has caused the last recent breakout structure. We have 10 criteria for it. Currently, the combined liquidation is missing. So let's see what happens. Let's see if a full zone can cover with the 2.5 pips. Actually, it could, but I want to give more space. I want to have more space below the entry POI. So I would rather use 3 pips with a full zone mitigation, or 50% equilibrium entry with 2.5 pips. And actually, in this case, I would use 50% right here, because there is a chance for the price to wick below this zone on the 1 minute, maybe wick below this possible liquidity creation right here, but we will see. I would go for a 50% equilibrium entry in this case with 2 and actually no. Full zone mitigation safely covers. So the full zone with 3 pips safely covers enough space below it. So I will go for 3 pips with full zone mitigation. And we could target this 50-minute supply area, but it has a really great chance to be swept out. Or we can target the highest point of the liquidity pool, in this case, right here for 13 risk reward ratio, or actually we can target the overall 4-hour supply area for 20 risk reward ratio. But in this case, I will stick to the highest point of this liquidity pool. So let's see what happens. All right, let's play price forward. We have 10 criteria for this entry POI, and let's see. Tag-in happened, full zone mitigation happened, and we have a break of the higher supply area too. And actually, it would be a break-even point for me for this zone right here. So this position is in break-even. Perfect. All right. Let me hide this zone right here, but this position is in break-even. Strong change of character in this case happened too. So the flip of this zone happened, because as you can see here was the reaction, which has caused the pullback down to this area. And the flip of this zone happened from this area. But there is another one, which was the origin of the flip zone, flip of this 1 minute area right here. So in this case, we have two possible continuation entry type 2 entry POI, and I would go for this one, because this zone can function as liquidity for this area right here. But if there will be liquidity creation for this entry POI, and actually I would rather see double bottoms for this zone. I would rather see trendline liquidity for this area right here in order to enter. So I will mark this zone out, which was the extreme of the character change, which was the extreme of the flipping movement on this 1 minute entry POI. So if there will be clear liquidity creation, double bottoms, triple bottoms, or trendline liquidity for this entry POI, then I will go for it. But let's see what happens. There was no liquidity creation, so I wouldn't go for this continuation entry type 1 entry opportunity. There wasn't liquidity to take for the entry POI, so it was a no-go zone. But you can see that price reacted on it really well. And in this case, we can mark 5-minute zone out, which was right here. This is the 5-minute zone that has caused the sweep of this liquidity into the 5-minute demand area. Perfect. So this 5-minute zone has a chance to be flipped. And if a flip happens, we can mark the 5-minute zone out. And inside of that, if we can find a clear 1-minute refinement with liquidity creation above it, we can enter on it. But we will see what happens. And this flip scenario would be the continuation entry type 2. In this case, 5-minute to 5-minute flip. Reaction happened. Price couldn't manage to make change of character, but there is a new breakout structure to the upside. But there is liquidity creation just above the entry just above the 5-minute supply area. So let's see what happens. Price reacted on the last recent 1-minute demand, as you can see. And actually the flip happened. So this liquidity has been swept. Price has already closed above this 5-minute entries, a 5-minute supply area, and the flip happened from this 5-minute demand. So we can mark it out. There is a clear 5-minute demand inside that has caused the flip of this 5-minute supply. And actually we can find a really nice refinement inside of it. This is the first one, which has caused the flip directly. So if there will be liquidity creation above this 1-minute refinement, then we can go for it. With liquidity, we can go for this 1-minute refinement. And this would be the continuation entry type 2 in this case. But we will have news in 15 minutes. So let's play price forward. And before news, I will analyze the market once again with possible scenarios for the last 1 hour of the session. So with the next candle, the news will kick in. The high impact news of the session will kick in. As you can see, price reacted perfectly on this 5-minute demand, flipped this 5-minute supply, but couldn't manage to create liquidity for the 1-minute refinement inside of this 5-minute flip zone. And price is on the way to mitigate this supply area. If a reversal happens here, if price can confirm this zone, this 5-minute zone here, we can wait for confirmation entry and we can expect the sweep of this liquidity, because with a mitigation on this zone, price would actually create another touch of this huge trendline liquidity. So if a reversal happens and confirms the last recent 5-minute demand area, then we can take longs expecting the sweep of this liquidity. However, if price can manage to flip this zone, which has a pretty great chance to happen because of this huge liquidity above the 15-minute supply area, if there will be a new 5-minute area that has caused the flip of this 15-minute supply, and we will be able to find a 1-minute refinement inside of it with liquidity creation, we can use this 1-minute refinement and expecting longs up to this the highest point of this liquidity, but actually we can really expect the mitigation of this 4-hour zone in this case. So technically this is the scenarios that I'm waiting for. A possible reversal from this zone down to this 5-minute demand flip zone, confirmation entry on it and expecting longs, or a flip of this supply, mark out the 5-minute supply with a 1-minute refinement inside of it. If liquidity creation happens, we can go for the 1-minute refinement with a direct entry, with a direct entry on the 1-minute refinement. So let's see what happens, but we will have news in this case, which actually kicked in right here. All right, this is the news candle, but it wasn't a huge reaction at all. As you can see, this wasn't really high impact news, even though it has been marked as high impact, but we have a 50% mitigation on this supply. If a reversal happens here and the mitigation and confirmations happen on this flip zone, then I will execute longs. Or if a flip of this 15-minute supply happens, then I will execute longs too. And actually, I believe it did not happen yet. Yeah, 5-minute candle closed inside of it, and 15-minute candle probably closed inside of it too. Let's see. Yeah, 15-minute candle closed inside of it too. So the flip has not happened yet. Price is just struggling inside of it. Right. This is where the 15-minute candle closed. All right. Let's play price forward. Let's see what happens. Actually, there was a 5-minute supply. There was a 5-minute supply, which has been flipped but this was a middle of nowhere reversal, so I really wanted to see the fail of this zone. I was thinking about this zone right here, but this was a middle of nowhere reversal. It could function as liquidity for this supply area to reverse the price back to this demand. And also this 1 minute zone had liquidity above it, but I was waiting for a flip of this zone, which actually happened right now, as you can see. And technically the flip happened from this one. But on the 15-minute time frame, it will be more clearer. And actually, yeah, the flip happened from this area. This is the newly formed 15-minute demand. But the point is, session will close in 15 minutes. And actually, this last recent 15-minute demand has been made with the last candle of the session. So yeah, session closed here. This 15-minute supply has been flipped with this 15-minute demand, but it couldn't really manage to print a new entry opportunity. But you can see that the sweep of this liquidity happened, which means we have a possible full TP on this long position that has occurred at the beginning of the session. And let's see if it can manage to mitigate the forward supply. So probably I would close 50% my position here, but let's see if it can mitigate the forward supply in the rest of the day. And actually it did. So this forward supply zone mitigation happened too. So it would be a really nice 1 to 21 risk reward ratio in this case. But I would be more than happy. I would be more than satisfied with this 1 to 13 risk reward ratio at the high point of this liquidity pool. So yeah, actually that's all for this backtesting video. Price has presented a really nice entry POI, entry opportunity at the first hour of the session. And actually, I remember for this day right now, I missed this entry opportunity right here. I was waiting for liquidity creation because I considered this one as liquidity pool, and I was expecting shorts down from this supply down to this extreme. But as you can see, price has just mitigated a pretty valid 5-minute flip zone in this case. And this flip zone mitigation has started a really nice bullish order flow, bullish movement, sweep of this liquidity out, and it would be a banger at the end of the day. So yeah, that's why I have to be a bit more aggressive. That's another lesson for me, to be a bit more aggressive on the market, and I should not wait. I should not wait liquidity to combine liquidation every time for the entry POI. So yeah, and actually that's all, guys. I really hope you can grab some value from this backtesting video, and see you guys tomorrow in London session. So that's all. Have a nice rest of the weekend. Take care and see you guys tomorrow. Bye.